Hi guys, welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to show you how I obtain these beautiful shreds using VWG gluten flour. This is a pretty easy recipe. I hope you have a chance to try it out. I did use regular potatoes, not potato flakes, though I am very grateful to Erica Cunningham for giving me the idea to use potatoes. Now I went ahead and took 3 small potatoes, boiled them really well, and then mashed them until they were nice and smooth. And now it is time to combine the mashed potatoes to the rest of the ingredients. I will, of course, list the ingredients in the description box below. Now, I use the poultry seasoning. That's what gave it that turkey chicken flavor, along with the Osem chicken flavored consomme. Here's the VWG gluten and soy milk that I used. As you see here, I started mixing everything into the same mixing bowl. I did add half a cup of nutritional yeast. That was actually not pictured in the previous video clip. And as you see here, I went ahead and added the chicken consomme. Here's a clip of me adding the sesame seed oil. If you prefer, you can use a more neutral flavored oil. Now I've taken all the ingredients and I start mixing them together to create a paste. I then add really hot water to it before adding the VWG gluten flour. I find that the hot water makes the dough more pliable and easier to knead. I first mix it in with a spoon to avoid burning myself with the hot water, and I then go in with my hands and knead it for about 5 minutes until I start seeing fibers form in the dough. I then went ahead and I took the dough and cut it into 5 individual dough balls. Now, I actually recommend making it into smaller dough balls. The reason for it is because this took like 3 hours to cook. That was a little too long for me because I had to keep on changing the heat on the stove. So I make these dough balls like this and then rest it for 30 minutes before I knot it. So it is important to rest it because I feel that you get better shreds that way. Now here you see where I am actually knotting the dough. I take it and cut it right down the middle to create a longer piece. I then knot it twice. The knotting is what's gonna make the shreds. And if you haven't ever done this before, you'll see why towards the end. The dough itself is pretty elastic at this point, but you will still see some breakage if you pull it too hard. So here is how I did that. I did use the fry and simmer method. I made sure all the sides were brown before putting it into the simmering broth. The simmering broth is simply garlic powder, onion powder, and chicken flavored consomme. I didn't really measure, I kind of eyeballed it. So just taste it to make sure that it has a good flavor to it. And that's actually gonna evaporate quite a bit. And you'll see that towards the end. Now I do flip it every 10 minutes or so. And I also adjust the temperature every 10 minutes or so, guys. This is very tedious because, like I said, this here took 3 hours to cook. So you could picture me going over to the stove every 10 minutes to adjust the heat. It was a little annoying. But the results were great. So just make it into smaller portions. That way it'll take less time to cook. So here's the final result. As you see, a lot of the broth has evaporated. The consistency of the seitan is still kind of soft at this point, but it's still firm, if that makes sense. Like the consistency is very shreddy. This was about 10:30 p.m. and I was tired at this point, so I let it rest overnight in the broth, and then I went ahead and shredded it the next day. So just to explain a little bit more on why I alternate the heat, is because I never want the broth to come to a full boil. Boiling it will actually make the seitan spongy. High heat creates expansion in the dough like too fast, and that's why sometimes you see the spongy texture in the seitan. So keep it at a low simmer, very few bubbles, and that'll give you the best results. I included the seitan shreds into my meal prep. Here you see me frying it along with some onion and bell pepper. I added oregano, cumin, chili powder, and garlic powder to it. And here is my final results in my meal prep. It was delicious. My husband really enjoyed it, and I hope you get a chance to create it yourself.